So I'm just getting into New York now. It is 8:43. I'm about a half hour away from the fire company that I'm going to film. And when I think of volunteer fire departments, I think of very rural fire departments, or even in the suburbs having volunteer fire departments. I really don't think of a big city like New York, or the suburbs of New York having volunteers to run their fire department. So this is going to be a very interesting show today to figure out, why they do what they do and how they do it, and the whole 9 yards. From what I understand from doing research online and stuff like this, it's a relatively small fire department as far as building size, but they do a lot of cool things, just like any other fire department. And it makes me proud that people in America still continue to volunteer their time, their services, and everything like that in order to serve their communities, even in a big city like we are now. If you look ahead of us here, you can see the traffic that's going on just to get to the little island that I'm going to. So I'm curious to see how it all works together within the system here in New York.
Did you know that in New York City, there are still volunteer fire departments that help service their community? Well, today, we're gonna take a look at one of these. This is Heroes Next Door. Let's go take a look. Today, I'm on one of the islands outside of New York City, and we're gonna be doing the Broad Channel Volunteer Fire Department. We're gonna go talk to the chief and take a look at what's going on inside. Let's see if they're home. Hello.
Hey Mike, how are you?
Good, how are you?
What's going on?
Oh, it's a nice drive on the way on in. This is the first time I've ever been in New York, to be honest with you. Other than I flew here, I landed at Pier 37 shortly after 9/11 to take out a patient, for a spine center. But I didn't know these kind of firehouses existed. Can you tell me a little bit, first of all, who you are, what's going on, and where we're at?
I'm Chief George Conklin. I've been a volley since I'm 11 years old. I became the chief 3 years ago, and I have a long history with the family. My grandfather was the assistant chief. My dad was a lieutenant. My brothers came through the ranks also, and I've just been here a very long time.
Okay, so you're a legacy volunteer.
Yeah, I also have been living in Broad Channel for 35 years.
Okay.
So I'm homebred, yeah.
So since you're a volunteer, what do you do as a living? How do you support yourself?
I'm a New York City sanitation worker. I'm a garbage man.
Okay.
And I also am an electrician by trade.
Well, I appreciate your service.
Yeah.
So when you reached out to me a couple months ago, I took a real quick look at your firehouse, and I realized you guys are kind of on an island, almost like a little beach town here, and you got a very unique firehouse. Can you explain to me where we're at on the island and how this whole thing kind of started?
We're on Knoll Road, and Knoll Road is basically where Broad Channel actually started. There used to be, it's an island. So actually now you can only get on the island by either the Rockaway Bridge or the Howard Beach Bridge. When Broad Channel originated, there was a Long Island Railroad that ran through the town, and this is where the town started. So that's why you have two churches. That's why the firehouse is here, and obviously that's why the train station was here.
Okay, so what's the population on the island?
You got about 900 homes, give or take, about 3,500 people.
Okay, and about what's the call volume that you normally get for a fire service?
We were at like 300. It's dwindled down since after Sandy, and all the homes are refabricated, and all the boilers are brand new, all the electrics redone. They actually made the strip, from Howard Beach to Broad Channel, there's a long strip of road.
Okay.
They changed that into 2 lanes. It used to be 3. So our MVAs have gotten lower.
Good.
So it's not a bad thing.
Okay.
But
yeah,
now we're about 200, give or take, a year.
Okay.
So
can we take a look at your house and
yeah,
kind of tell us what's going on?
Absolutely. I'll bring you upstairs. As you can tell, our house is a little tight.
You're right.
This is where our guys have their gear.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good way to do it, though. If you have tight space, just kind of create a little cubby.
We actually built in heaters. So if their gear happened to, after you clean it, or happen to like a high tide or a rainstorm, you can actually hang your gear on these hooks.
Okay.
And then these heaters will actually dry the gear while it's hanging there.
That's ingenuity at its finest.
And we got to do what we got.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So about how many volunteers do you have for the department?
On paper, we have about 35.
Okay.
Active actual members, probably about 20, I want to say.
Okay. And how many units do you run?
We have two engines, 2 ambulances. We have a rescue boat, 2 chief's cars, and then we have our parade rig that's out right now doing fund drive.
Okay. Okay. That's very important, is that fund drive.
Absolutely.
We can talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of the things that many of the volunteer fire departments across the nation are always struggling with, is raising that finance and making sure that they keep the lights on and the truck going. And fund drives are the way to do that. So if you guys have an opportunity to make a donation or, you know, support them in any way, definitely do that.
Yeah, we run solely on donations. We get a couple dollars from the state, but other than that, it's all strictly fundraising. We do a haunted house every year. We do Mardi Gras. We do like raffles. Do a bunch of any ideas we come up with.
Right.
We give it a shot. But yeah, solely based on donations.
That's awesome. All right. So from here, the engine base, I walk past, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at that at the end of our video, because
Okay.
everybody likes the engine bay.
Yeah.
And it's very unique because you got a lot of engines in a small amount of space.
Absolutely.
Is there bunk rooms? Is there a crew
I can show
room?
you upstairs.
All right, let's go upstairs. This looks fairly new. Have you recently rebuilt this?
We actually did a lot of it after Sandy. This
Okay.
place did not look like the way it does now. Actually, most of the members are the ones that did the work. Like me being an electrician, we did all the electric. We had a contractor come in, knock the place down, and we basically rebuilt it from the ground up.
Wow, but this is the original footprint of where the firehouse was.
Exactly.
Man, this is cool. This is definitely, it gives you that home feeling right away. As soon as you walk up here, you're like, I can hang out here all day long.
Yeah, so we wanted to make it cozy, and for what it is, we got our little kitchen here.
Yeah. Got the firehouse table everybody sits around and talks with.
Absolutely. We got our nice 85-inch TV where we do some training videos and sometimes watch football if we have time.
Okay.
This is actually a unique setup we have here. We got our dispatch center.
Nice.
We're self-dispatched.
Okay.
Like we don't, nobody calls the city and then they call us. We have our teleprinter,
Okay.
which is like on each corner, there's a box, and then if you press it, it will come up on this screen.
Okay. So do people dial 911 as we think about it?
So if you were to dial 911, it would go to the 911 system,
Yeah.
and then they would send it out through this teleprinter.
Okay.
And that's how we receive it. And
So do you have a guy on station to receive it all the time?
we have a thing called I am responding,
Okay.
so which is up here. Our I am responding will pop up, and then that will go to everybody's cell phones.
Okay. Okay.
But with the teleprinter, that's also on every corner. There's a teleprinter box. So if you press that as an alarm, it will pop up on the screen.
So it's like the old call boxes they used to have.
That's exactly
back
what
in
it
the-
is. That's exactly what it is.
It's just modernized.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty slick.
And
We'll
then
have to go
that-
take a look at one of those.
Yeah, and that will actually also go to our cell phones as well.
Okay.
So if it is at times there's nobody here, we'll have to put call forwarding on.
Okay.
Which means our phones get forwarded to somebody else's phone.
Okay.
That also works as that will pop up on everyone's cell phone also.
Okay. I'm kind of, this is definitely something different that I've never seen across the country so far. I think the closest one, we were over at T-Neck, and they kind of do something similar to that. But explain to me, I call 911, do I give them the information, or do they kind of put me on hold, put you over here to grab information, like where I'm at, what the emergency is? Does that go through 911 center, or does that go through you guys?
Well, 911 will send out a teleprinter message, which will go through there. People, if they want to use us as an ambulance, like they don't dial 911,
Right.
they'll call 474-8888.
Okay.
And then that phone number will go to either this phone number, or if no one's in house, it will go to the person that has call forwarding that day.
Gotcha. So if it's a non-emergent transport or something like that, or even if it's an emergent, they could call here directly.
Absolutely, yes. And then we also have a phone line for business, like, hey, can you guys come and help us hang flags or whatever.
Right, right.
That's the 474-6888.
I remember back when I first started. I started in 1993 into 94. 94 is when I got my certifications. We had call into the station, you know, to get the ambulance stuff for 911 and stuff like that. And then I want to say in 1996, 97 era is when our 911 service kind of took over and it took away those kind of things. It's cool to see that you guys still kind of do it in the old traditional ways because you guys are a real tight knit community down here on an island.
Yeah, well, a town like this, everyone knows each other, so they rather use us because we'll bring them to where they want to go.
Okay.
Being a city, we'll take you to the nearest place. So that's why generally people will call us, and just because...
Yeah.
It's your neighbor, exactly.
So we got another gentleman here. Can you introduce me to him?
This is President McIntyre, past chief for a million years.
Okay.
He's going to go tell you a little bit about the new building project we got going on.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, so here, take that.
Okay. Well, thank you for inviting us in, and thank you for the service you put into the community.
Thank you. Well, like the chief said, my name is Dan McIntyre. I was chief for a million years, 15 terms as chief. A few years ago, I stepped back down as chief, passed it on to the younger generation, and took over the business end. The Broad Channel Volunteers are the corporate entity that basically is the Broad Channel Fire Department. You know, we're the corporate end, non-for-profit, 501(c) corporation. So, you know, I'm responsible for all the bills coming in and out, making sure that all the fundraising that gets done is directed properly, and, you know, basically making sure that we're kept up to date with all of our requirements for the state, for filings. You know, we have to file reports with EMS, State Office of Fire Prevention Control, as well as with, you know, Easy Pass, you know, and all the little nuances that go with all of the background stuff. So, you know, it's quite a task. It's something that I've done for many, many years, even as chief. You know, I was chief so long that I survived 7 or 8 different presidents
Right.
of the organization. So you kind of learn that.
Sure.
After 40 years, you learn a lot, you know, and there's a lot of stuff that I do behind the scenes that I continue to do. And, you know, it's something that's very important to keep in a small organization in business.
Right.
You know, you would be surprised how many things pop up, IRS issues or state filing issues that you might be late for, or, you know, they didn't receive. And, you know, it seems that you're constantly fighting bureaucrats just to stay in operation to perform a simple service such as, you know, firefighting and rescue and ambulance.
Right, right. Yeah, and it's kind of cool that, you know, you're still involved, even though you're not the chief. But people have to realize a good administration behind the scenes really keeps the firehouse going, because you're the ones that are going to get the grants for us to get the new equipment. You're going to do the fundraisers and help organize those kind of things to make sure that those trucks are going out the door, the bills are paid, and the firemen that are coming in are getting trained to the point to where they can fight fires effectively and safely.
Yes, the administrative aspect of it, you know, it's something that, you know, in general, fire service, you know, you need your volunteers, you need your first responders, but you also need a good administrative end, just like you said, to take care of the background stuff. You know, people don't realize that in the United States, vast majority of fire departments are volunteer. And in the background, even if they're municipal or part of a township, there's still administrative duties that have to take place in that small non-for-profit or community-based service.
Yeah,
You know, there's things that have to take place. And here, you know, in addition to that, and overseeing a lot of the aspects of, especially, you know, I was a chief during Sandy and the recovery efforts during Sandy, dealing with the bureaucrats in FEMA, in New York State, New York City, you know, was an enormous task.
Right.
And I'm kind of like the thorn in their side. You know, I don't go away.
Good.
So when I want something, I am relentless, and I really have never taken no for an answer from any bureaucrat. I challenge them on everything that they tell me, well, you know, you're not allowed. Then I'll ask them what governance covers that.
Right.
What law covers that? Because if I have to, I'll engage our political people, and I will tell them we have to change something.
Right.
There's something wrong here.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So with this building in particular, for many, many years, we were trying to build a new fire station on a high point in town, located up by the American Legion Hall, which is about 3rd Road and Broad Channel. It's a little bit higher than here. The elevation here is about 8. on the floodplain, it's about an 8.
Okay.
Down there, it's about a 12, a little
Okay.
bit higher.
Okay.
And, to build a new firehouse, we had to elevate the site. Sort of like you see on the any of the barrier islands on the East Coast, especially if you go down by the Outer Banks.
Yeah.
All those fire stations are elevated up on a large footprint.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what we wanted to do. We started in earnest in the 90s to secure that property. We was able to purchase it from the city of New York. It was an unimproved lot. It was previously used by a construction company who did water main installations down here years ago.
Okay.
So we approached the city.
Sure.
And they said, well, we're just sitting here. We're not doing anything with it. We're going to put it for auction. And this is when the auction is. And nobody else was interested in it. And we was able to successfully purchase the property, relatively cheap in corporate eyes.
Sure,
But
sure.
for the fire department, it was a huge purchase.
Yeah.
It was about $65,000.
Okay.
Which at the time was our operating budget.
Yeah.
So for us, it was a huge undertaking
Right.
to purchase that property. But I know the chief was talking about fundraisers. The Mardi Gras celebration in Broad Channel is a summer-long fundraising event.
Okay.
Back in the olden days, when there used to be a lot of drinking establishments down here, all the establishments would have a committee, and they would raise money individually, and it was a competition
Okay.
throughout the entire summer. And at the end of the summer, near the Labor Day weekend, they would run rackets, and they would come here to the Firehouse that Friday night, which was the cutoff was at 12 o'clock at night, and count down all the cash that they had. So sometimes the Firehouse would be in receipts of $60, $80, $100,000.
Wow. Yeah.
Which was great.
Yeah.
And we would use that for capital purchases.
Sure.
All of our rigs were purchased with that. The ambulances were purchased with capital purchases. If you needed an improvement or Scott packs or gear, we would use that. And it was every other year we're recipients of that.
Okay.
And we split that with the athletic club.
Okay.
Who does a similar operation as we do. They run their own operation. So getting back to how we bought the property, that was from Mardi Gras proceeds.
Okay.
We were really in dire need of an ambulance that year. we deferred it. We said, listen, we'll get another year out of this ambulance. We'll do what we had to do to fix it. I'm a mechanic by trade.
Okay.
So okay, no problem.
I'm a shade tree mechanic. So.
Okay. All right. So yeah, the same thing. That's
Yeah.
how I got my start too.
Yeah.
So let's fix this for another year, buy the property, and even though we had no money to build anything, we have a piece of property.
Right.
And now we can start the process.
That's step one.
Step one.
Step two is-
Step two was, well, how are we going to go about starting a process? Well, you have to hire an architect.
Yep.
Well, how much money we have in the bank? $14. Well, we're not hiring an architect for $14.
Right.
So New York State has a revolving loan program that they offer to volunteers.
Okay.
And at the time, the limit was $200,000, and it was for construction of new fire houses. So we applied for a loan in '98, and we received it. And then we hired an architectural firm, an engineering firm, to come up with design plans
Yep.
for that property. And then the process starts that, had to raise money. Now, at the time, when we first purchased that property, we probably could have built a building for about $500,000. But of course, prices go up.
Yep.
A couple of years later, it was $1 million. A couple of years later after that, it was $2 million. Well, where are we going to get $2 million? 2004, Senator Clinton and our Congressman Weiner, and you looked them up, they're notorious,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Especially Weiner, put legislation in federal highway transportation for $2 million. And they showed up at our 100th anniversary dance with the big giant check.
Wow.
So at the time I was a past chief, and I really I'd only come here to drive for calls. My brother was the president of the corporation at the time. And I had a conversation with him, and I said, well, listen, that big check never turns into the little check. So I'm going to come and help you get on board. So I joined my brother Ed, and past Chief Keenan was the chief of the department at the time. And we decided that we were going to form a small committee to chase this money down.
Right.
Which meant that you had to find out how the funding came from Washington, where it went, what mechanisms you can draw it down. So it's a gigantic process.
Right.
But I learned so much about how bureaucrats work.
Right.
That I stayed on, even though that money took years and years and years to get to the point where I can actually try to use it just before Sandy hit.
Okay.
It was an eye opener in itself.
Right.
So
I think that's a key thing that a lot of the volunteer fire companies that are out there that are watching the show today can take away from this, because you know, yeah, the bureaucrats come out, they present this check and it looks good on social media.
Yes.
But in order to actually get that money, you have to know how to navigate your way through that to get that actual finance from that big check, as you said, to the little check. And, you know, if you don't have those kind of people in your service, you should reach out to people like you guys and say, hey, how did you guys do that? How can I do that? And that communication. Just because you're across the nation doesn't mean you can't reach out to these guys in New York and say, hey, I'm having trouble tracking that down. How did you guys do that?
Oh yes, I'd be very willing to help. And you know, I've been over 20 years, 25 years now, trying to get this new building off the ground. And of course, the price has gone up.
Yep.
Just before Sandy, we were getting ready to put the job out to bid, and then Sandy hit.
Okay.
So now everything changes.
Yeah.
So now the elevation of the property has to go up higher. You have to go back to New York City Planning and submit those paperwork to them. New York City Building Department, and then FEMA got in the game. And now you have to try to figure out how are they going to translate money into that project. So what they did is they came and assessed this building.
Okay.
And they said, what would it cost to rebuild a compliant fire station on this footprint?
Okay.
Which was impossible because they would have to elevate this site about 8 feet.
Wow.
Right. So
and you got neighbors right next door.
yes. So it's unrealistic. So they translated that into, it would cost about $2.2 million to rebuild this building as compliant.
Okay.
But we can't do it here. But we know that you have another project. We can have those funds dedicated to your new firehouse.
Okay.
Plus, in that disaster assistance, we'll give you $225,000 to repair your current firehouse so you have a place of operations.
Right.
So, yeah, fine. So now that means more money.
Yep.
And that means more bureaucrats. And, how are we going to get this done? But, people don't realize that most of the money you get from the government, either federal or state sources, requires that the organization have money, seed money.
Sure.
It's all reimbursable.
Right.
So if you have a $4 million project, you're going to need about $1 million in financing to start that project.
Yeah.
So you can start the project and then submit your bills, paid bills, not that you said it was paid.
Right.
Proof from a bank that the bill was paid.
Yep.
And then you can request your money back. That's how almost every grant works.
Okay.
Including most of the FEMA Firefighter assistance grants.
Okay.
Most of them.
Yeah.
The SAFER grant works in that manner.
Yep.
Right. The direct firefighter grant doesn't. You can, if you have a gear grant, you can just basically give them the bill and they'll give you the money.
Yep.
But most of them, and any money that comes from the feds, especially when you see your congressman standing there with the big check.
Yep.
That big check doesn't mean anything. It's going to a federal agency, to another state agency, and then most state agencies are not allowed by law to deal directly with small non-for-profits with budgets under $1 million.
Right.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah.
So if you're not a small non-for-profit and our budget is about $80,000 a year,
Okay.
we are not allowed to deal directly with the state agency that's administering the money.
Right.
We have to get another government entity to act as the local sponsor.
Right.
So it's another set of bureaucrats, and then that means that you have to more compliance, more rules, more pushback.
Right.
And it just gets very frustrating.
Right.
So we were very frustrated for many, many years. And I think I have a poster over here to show you the building.
Yeah, let's pull it out. Do you mind if I grab it real quick?
Sure, grab it.
So this is what you are in the process of.
Yeah, so this is what we're in the process of building.
Okay.
And if you can see, the site is down over here. This is at the north end of our island.
Okay.
And this is the mock-up of the building, the front and the side. And you can see that the whole site is elevated. And this entire site will have a wall built around it, a three-corner wall like a horseshoe to elevate the site to meet FEMA's standards, which happen to be New York City standards now.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
And, this is like inside the apparatus room. And then upstairs, we have a large meeting room. And we intend to use this for emergency operations center. So now during Sandy, us out in the barrier islands and, in the boondocks, as we like to call it, we're usually like the last place that New York City thinks about during storms.
Right.
They really don't. New York City was very amazed to find out that they're actually a sea of islands and that there's an ocean here. So they found out after Sandy.
Yeah.
And they found out when downtown Manhattan flooded and all that expensive real estate was useless, and now they had to rebuild everything. So we knew that years ago. this building has been in the plan since the 90s.
Okay.
You know, because this building floods during any kind of nor'easter or a hurricane.
Okay.
It floods. During Sandy downstairs, 6 foot of water.
Right.
Right. At the time, all of our mechanical, electrical was downstairs. That all got wiped out. Our heating plant, the electrical systems got knocked out.
Right.
So, you know, it's...
I'm just going to put this down.
Maybe we can put that down. So, you know, we knew we had to go somewhere.
Okay. So this building then has been redone since Sandy then?
Yes, we rebuilt this building in 19. We were trying to put it off.
Okay.
It's very hard to ask for money when this building looks nice.
Right.
And it does look nice. But we kind of left it as it is. But really, it was punishing the membership because now you had to come here. The place is dilapidated. We had a raccoon problem coming into the building. You know, we had vermin in the building. It was very depressing to come to. So in 2019, a local contractor who I grew up with, he says, listen, I'm getting old. I got one project left of me. I'll help you coordinate this. And basically, that's what we did. We went to the city, got a permit. 2 local contractors, you know, they did the lead abatement and the asbestos abatement to satisfy the city.
Sure.
Another one was the GC for the job. And it was really a remodeling permit. You know, they don't let you rebuild.
Right.
You know, so we basically kept the building in place. We tore down one wall at a time, rebuilt them.
Yep.
I think that we have one area downstairs. We actually saved one of the original walls.
Okay.
We have it in storage right now that we'll put in a new building.
Yeah.
As in part of our display.
Sure.
You know, so. But we rebuilt this building and it came out nice. We're still not done. There's, you know,
it looks fantastic. I love the couches that you have. The woodwork looks phenomenal.
These are courtesy of Bob's.
Okay.
Bob. You know, we asked him, you know, can you help us out? And he gave us a $2,000 gift certificate. You know, so if you ask, you know, people will help you.
Right.
Deciding on the building, the cement board, we got that from James Hardy.
Okay.
And that was an email. A couple of emails back and forth, and I really had no hope in getting it. But they said, how much you need, and can you have access to a forklift to unload our truck?
Right.
And then a few weeks later, the truck showed up with all the materials.
So the key point to that is you just reached out. You said, hey, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to reach out. You had to do a little bit of your own footwork. People weren't just handing it to you, but if you did a little bit of work by sending an email, you got the outside of your building done.
Besides, you know, James Hardy stepping up, you know, local electrical contractors and companies stepped up with some materials. Plumbing supplies stepped up with some plumbing supplies. We had some donations. The oil burner was donated. The air conditioners were donated. We had a lot of local contractors donate wood. All the sheetrock in the building was donated by a small outfit in Breezy Point Lumber. They donated that. They just said, well, how much do you need? I did the measurements. They sent the tractor trailer directly to here, and we offloaded it.
That's awesome.
You know, so now,
communities helping communities.
Community helping community. All of the contractors that came together were all local guys, and they volunteered their time. You know, some retired guys, some guys actually worked, took time out of their schedule, and with in-house membership, probably altogether about 20, 25 guys.
Okay.
But every screw and nail that's put in this building was done by volunteers.
Right.
So
you got a big history too. Yes. Looking at all the chiefs around here, when was this all founded?
Well, Chief Wilmot can give you the history of the department.
Okay.
So 1905 is when they formally organized.
1905.
1905.
Wow.
They were probably informally organized for maybe 10, 15 years before that.
Okay.
As bucket brigades, and then you had a bell on every corner.
Right.
And you would ring the bell. But in 1905, they kind of got together and they said, listen, we need to modernize. We need a hose wagon and maybe a little hand pump.
Yeah.
And they got together, the guys in the island, and that's when they organized the fire department here. And they elected their first chief, and away they went.
And you've been going strong ever since.
Been going strong ever since. I mean, you know, some lulls, you know, during the wars, of course, you know, manpower goes down. World War II, this was a air warden station.
Okay.
In addition to being a fire department. So it was basically the older members had to come out of retirement to wear double hats. Air warden and put the gear back on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Guys in their 50s and 60s had to actually come out of service.
Right.
In the 50s, a lot of people in Broad Channel served in the Korean conflict, and when they came back, you know, they were the inspiration to really revitalize the place, and that's when our ambulance service started.
Okay.
In the 50s, we were probably the first ambulance corps in New York State.
Okay.
You know,
Now, are you advanced life support or are you just basic life
we're
support?
a BLS unit.
Okay.
Yes. Many of our members have gone on from our small department and now work for FDNY, and a few of them are higher up in the ranks now.
Right.
And you know, so basically, a lot of the help that FDNY supplies originated in the volunteer agencies around the city. So not only our agency has contributed a lot
Right.
to the city of New York in general, but the other 7 volunteer fire departments that still exist in New York City have contributed their manpower as well.
Right. And that's one thing that I didn't realize when I started looking into New York City. You think of FDNY. They've got the, you know, the social media presence that everybody knows about, and volunteer fire departments within New York City is still a thing. Which is kind of cool to me to understand.
It is. And like, you know, most of us, because of geographics, you know, we're an island community. This island is probably too small to put an FDNY house here. It's not cost effective for them.
Okay.
We're kind of covered by a house in the next town over, and then over the 2 bridges.
Right.
So their response time is about 5 minutes. Theirs probably a little less, about 4.
Okay.
If there's no traffic.
Right.
And you know,
And I hit that coming in. I was there for a half hour.
Cross Bay Boulevard is the main
Yeah.
the main route in and out of the Rockaway Beach area. So in the summertime, you know, the response times could be, you know, a half hour
Right.
from FDNY.
Right.
And then plus, you know, Broad Channel, the houses are very closely built together. Originally small bungalows, converted over the years to winterized. After Sandy, a lot of them were rebuilt, elevated. Our claim to fame is quick attack.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we specialize in. You know, we're not going to go do an apartment building in Brooklyn and go up to a 5-story walk-up.
Right.
We're not equipped for that. But we are very well equipped with trucks that are quick attack trucks that we can get water on the fire relatively quickly. Probably after the call comes in, maybe in 3 minutes we'd have water on the fire.
That's huge.
And that's what we drill in. And most of our drills
Right.
are quick attack hose drills.
Right.
You know, if you want to learn how to throw ladders up, that's okay. We'll do that later.
Yep.
But in most cases, the best way to stop the spread of fire, especially in close-knit communities like this,
Yep.
is let's get water on a fire, and then you can do your search and rescue while you're in here, putting the fire out.
That's awesome.
So that's our claim to fame.
Okay. Now, below us then is the Apparatus Bay. Can we go take a look at the Apparatus Bay?
Sure.
All right. Let's go down there.
All right, so let's go down. I'll show you the engine room.
Okay. Now, you can get through here, but it's pretty tight, right?
Yeah, you want me to? I mean, I show you. It's definitely a tight squeeze.
Okay.
Got a little work area. We actually do all our own work on our own trucks.
Okay.
The guy you're about to meet, his father's been here for even longer than Dan's been here. Yeah, we like to call him the old man.
Okay.
You could check out the squeeze if you.
Yeah,
if
we'll
you
get
want.
a shot of that in a little bit. Let's walk on the
All right,
outside and
let's
we'll
go.
meet him up front.
All right. The guy we're about to meet is Ed Wilmoth. He's the chief of operations. He's also the fire department's historian. Like me, he's been here since he's a kid. His dad is the chief engineer.
Okay.
So he knows everything, the ins and outs of this place from the time that it started.
Wow.
So he's where is he? Oh, he's right here.
Oh, there he is. Hello, hello.
How we doing, guys?
Nice to meet you. I'm Mike.
Hey, Eddie Wilmot.
Nice to meet you, Eddie. We'll give you the mic. So I hear you are the resident historian of this place.
Yeah. I'm the historian for all the volunteer fire companies in the city.
Oh, okay.
There's we have a group called the Volunteer Firemen's Association of the City of New York, and all the volunteer fire companies that are still left operating in the city meet once a month. We do joint fundraising efforts. We apply for federal and state grants jointly. It's power in numbers, and that's how we accomplish what we need to accomplish.
Right. Sounds like your fire truck's coming by. We'll let them kind of make their way past. Maybe we'll get a shot of it for the viewers. Go ahead and take a look at the fire truck coming by.
They're actually doing right now our yearly fund drive.
Okay. So they're literally going door to door and knocking for fund drive?
They're knocking door to door.
Okay. I don't think I've ever seen that before when you go door to door knocking. It's usually I send out flyers and hope something comes back.
We send out flyers, we put it on social media, and then we go out door to door.
Yeah.
Usually when we send out our flyers, we get about $5,000.
Okay.
We go door to door, we pull in maybe about another 10,000.
Nice.
And then we always do 2 rounds. We do, this is the callbacks for the people who didn't give.
Yep.
You know, but usually once people know that we're out and about, and that's what they'll be talking about.
Yep.
I saw the fire engine, and what were they doing?
Right.
They were doing fun drive, and you were hiding in your closet. You didn't get.
Right.
And then they go on Venmo,
Yeah.
and they'll pay us electronically.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You still have to go to it.
Right. I love the sound of that truck. That's a traditional fire truck sound right there for sure.
Well, it didn't sound like that when it got here. That's Ed's pop. He's a chief engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does like 90% of the maintenance on all our vehicles.
Okay.
You know, I help him out, and you know, over the years we've alternated. I would come in for a little bit, he would come in for a little bit, and now we kind of like work together, and we're both kind of up there now. So a lot of stuff gets, you know, I'm not climbing underneath there to figure out what's going on.
Sure.
Transmission, let's send it out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And as long as we got the money, we can do it.
Right.
If we run out of money, then we're gonna have to do the transmission. But while we got the money, let them do it.
Okay. So coming back to you, Ed.
Yeah, man.
So this house has been here since how long? I think you said 1906 or something like that? Was that correct?
The department was organized August 31st, 1905.
05, okay.
But they were just a bucket brigade.
Okay.
The firehouse itself wasn't built until 1908.
Okay.
So grand opening was on Flag Day, June 14th, 1908.
On this specific plot of land.
Yeah, right here.
Man,
right,
that's cool.
Right where it sits.
To have that kind of history, it almost gives me a little bit of goosebumps. You know,
man.
to be in one location for that long a time, to have that kind of volunteer service for that long a time is commendable, for sure.
For sure. And it's extremely hard, and more power to them, more props to all the guys that came before us, that somehow or another were able to keep this thing going within the confines of the 5 boroughs of New York City for 120 years now.
Right.
It's an amazing feat.
Right. So in the apparatus bay here, it's definitely tight.
Yeah, you could say that.
Was it ever horse-drawn carriage through this, or is it just
only hand-drawn equipment?
hand-drawn
Yeah,
equipment?
we never had any actual horses that belonged to the department.
Okay.
I mean, there's stories from back in the day that maybe, you know, the delivery man that lived locally had a horse and cart.
Okay.
And if he was in the neighborhood and available, he would run the horse over and give the guys a break, and they wouldn't have to pull it a mile down the road.
Right.
But yeah, everything was hand-drawn equipment. All the way up until the late 1920s, we were still operating hand-drawn
Wow.
hose carts and hand pumpers.
You definitely modernized now, and you got 2 big rigs in here and 2 ambulances.
Yep.
Okay. So what kind of rigs do you have?
All right. Well, this truck is a 1992 Pierce Lance, 1,500 gallon per minute pumper, 650 gallon tank, 50 gallon foam AB tank. The one right behind it is a 2000 Pierce Dash, almost the same identical setup, a couple of years newer, slight differences, cabinet space and stuff like that, but same thing, 1,500 gallon per minute pumper, 750 gallon tank, and another foam AB tank.
Okay. And your BLS ambulances are just
They're 2 twin 2010 40 350s.
okay.
Yeah, they're 2 identical twins. They were purchased used from the same department,
Okay.
which was the long-term goal. After Hurricane Sandy, our entire apparatus fleet got wiped out.
Okay.
And we were operating off of donated vehicles for another 10 plus years after that.
Wow.
Trying to be able to raise money to replace the donated vehicles.
Sure.
And re-standardize our fleet again,
Right.
getting back to matching vehicles, which we finally just about are there now.
Right. Well, that's one thing I want to also tell the viewers is that, you know, there are natural disasters that happen in the United States all the time. Not just down in Florida and Texas. They have some horrible ones, don't get me wrong, but it's also coming up the East Coast, all the way up into Maine. We have those same storms. You got the tornadoes that are going on throughout the middle of the state. You got the forest fires on the other side of the state,
Yeah.
or on the United States. And we lose equipment due to those disasters, and it's up to those other people to donate and help us out. It's that big community, not just here, but the whole overall community that really pulls together in those times of need.
No question, no question. We were very fortunate that monster commercial cab Ford that just went by. That was the first vehicle donated to us after Hurricane Sandy, and we retained it just as a symbol of the brotherhood from all across the nation. We use it as our parade vehicle. Some of our old timers like to take it out, and they'll go utilize it for fun drive or public relation events and stuff like that. We maintain it the best we can. We don't have room for it in quarters, unfortunately.
Right. Where does it get stored then?
It actually gets stored down the block at the chief engineer's house because he has a big giant yard.
There you go.
And he can fit it, and he loves it. It's his favorite truck. But what we did was we letted it for us. We did put a nice thank you. This vehicle was donated by. That rig came from Chanhassen, Minnesota.
Okay.
And oddly enough, it was the first vehicle from Minnesota. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was the first vehicle to arrive here in Broad Channel to start replacing our apparatus.
That's huge.
It was pretty amazing. You know?
Yeah.
We don't know anybody in Minnesota. We didn't know them.
They just
and
knew.
somehow or another, I guess our story was out there. And they were the first ones to step up.
Yeah, and the one thing that I'm finding as I travel across the nation, my goal is to hit all 50 states. I want to do as many Firehouse, police, and EMS stations as I can. I think this is now 14 or 15 states that I've hit so far. But I'm realizing from, Ponder, Texas, and Granbury, Texas, that I just came from, to you guys, it's all that brotherhood that really pulls us all together. Yeah, we kind of bicker back and forth, how do you lay this hose and how do you fold this and do that kind of stuff. But all in all, when crap hits the fan, you guys get together, you take care of each other and make sure you're all good.
I mean, that's the name of the game, right? Paid, volunteer, combination, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
You may have personality clashes, you may have ego busted every once in a while, but when the chips are down, you can turn around and count on them. So that's all that really matters.
Right. Is that one of your dispatchers going out?
No, that's just them. They're doing a detail on the ambulance, just checking equipment.
Doing their checks. All right. Well, Ed, thank you so much. I want to pull the chief and the other guy back on in. Come on in here, guys. Thank you so much for inviting me down to, here. Again, I told them upstairs, this is the first time I've really been in New York City. I flew in with a helicopter after 9/11, but I was in the back of an ambulance, went to New York University and flew back to Philadelphia. That's far. I've never seen the Statue of Liberty, even though I live here on the East Coast, so this was pretty unique. I was very excited to come see you guys. Thank you very much for the service that you guys are doing. You guys are doing
Appreciate
a fantastic job. I love the house that you have here. Now, when you finish that house, the new one, are you guys going to keep this as a memorial, or are you going to kind of sell this, or how are you going to operate? Do you know?
Part of the stipulation with the money that we got is that we have to retain possession of this place.
Okay.
And even though it's not designated as an historic building because it's been modified over the years many times.
Sure.
The significance of the organization to the island is historic.
Yeah.
So our intention is always has to put the Broad Channel has a big historical society.
Okay.
Offer them the use of that.
That'd be awesome.
Our plans are basically to make it the exempt old man fireman's home.
Okay.
And we're going to find some old stuff that we used to run back in the 50s.
Yeah.
Maybe we used to have Ghostbuster ambulances.
Okay.
And maybe get an old hose wagon and make this the Broad Channel Museum, and old timers will be in here.
Yeah.
We won't be allowed in. We'll be allowed in, and the guy that was just driving that noisy truck will be allowed in.
That's awesome.
Everybody else stay out. But that's going to be the plans for this building. It's too significant. We could probably sell it on the open market and get $300,000 or $400,000 for it. But this is the history of the island.
Yeah.
This was one of the first buildings on this block.
Yeah.
If you look at our website and you see the picture, all you see is this building. You don't see churches, you don't see houses, and they grew up around this building because this is where the guys are that are going to put your house out when it goes on fire.
Yeah.
So, it's too historically significant,
Well, thank you so much for inviting us in and letting the public know. Before I end, if a viewer's out there and they're maybe on the island and just watching the show and they don't volunteer yet, how do they get a hold of you guys? Do they need to come to the station? Is there something online, anything like that to kind of get a hold of that if they want to start volunteering?
Yeah, they can join us at any night of the week. They can come down and fill out an application, get a tour, knock out, talk to the guys, or on social media, www.broadchannelvfd.org is the website. On Facebook, it's at Broad Channel Volunteers. Instagram, same thing.
Okay.
We're out there. Yeah, they're pretty. All you have to do is even Google Broad Channel Fire Department, and every link that will
It'll
be
come
there.
up.
It'll be there.
All right.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
all of our emails on the contact us or contact the chief, they're all answered.
Okay.
So if we get an email, from the website or contact the chief or through Facebook, we always answer it.
Okay.
We do get a lot of inquiries from people all around the city. Sometimes it's not. We do have out-of-town members
Sure.
that usually live close by, and we ask for 4 hours a week.
Okay.
On a tour, people come here between the hours of 8 and 12 or 7 and 11, just to check the equipment out, make sure it's ready to go, and just to be in case something. Because
Yeah.
historically, most of our calls happen between 6 and 12 o'clock at night.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So that's why we have a tour then. But we call them out-of-town one-hit wonders. They come down once a week.
Yeah.
We've had some great members over the years that come for years at a time. Some of them will do 10 years here.
Okay.
And religiously every week, and they'll go to all the training that we send them to, and they actually end up being very good firefighters or EMTs.
Right. So, well, that's the next question that some of the viewers may have is they may not feel qualified, or that's why they haven't stopped by, because of I don't have firefighter stuff. I don't do that. You provide that to them, or do they need to go get training before they get here?
No, absolutely not. We provide everything. All you have to do is volunteer.
Okay.
All you have to do is sign your name on the dotted line, and we will take care of the rest.
And whatever you want to do, maybe you might not want to be a firefighter. EMS is your goal, or maybe you don't want either one. You don't want to be a first responder, but we do have an administrative end, and we have an auxiliary department, which we put in place for either past members or people who don't want to actively volunteer. They're not putting gear on, but they know they were bookkeepers,
Yeah.
or they're accountants, or they know how to do office, the backroom office stuff that every organization needs. Right now, we're out on fund drive right now, and we do door to door after we send out our flyers and social media posts. But right now, the auxiliary, there's 5 or 6 members of the auxiliary that are basically riding on one of our trucks and just knocking on and saying hello to their neighbors.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, you haven't contributed to the firehouse yet.
Right.
So we have spaces for everybody.
Do. So if you're out there and you've been watching the show, definitely get a hold of them. If you want to volunteer, or if you're not even coming here and you're thinking about volunteering in your old community, reach out to your firehouse. Let them know that you're interested in whatever capacity, from administrative to getting on the trucks. We definitely need you. Volunteer still is big. It's the backbone of the fire service throughout the United States, and we need you. Thank you all for watching. Once again, this was the Station Cribs with Heroes Next Door. Do us a favor before we end, hit that subscribe, hit that notification, smash those like buttons, and share these videos with everybody that you know. Thank you for watching. Stay safe, take care of each other. We'll see you again next week.